Hey Lee, Nelson Mason here. So I'll be your Racers 360 coach here around Atlanta. So good lap, mate, and glad that we're close to kind of the ultimate pace. We'll work on this and we'll absolutely get to being the pace setter. So I'm not too concerned about that. So we'll get started here. Coming down the main straight. Big key. One thing I think that's really going to help, and it's more to do with time in the car for sure. Like, and I respect that. So I respect that we all, need to get used to it all. But a big thing, I never ever want to be in the position where I'm not engaged in the gear before I turn into a corner. So I still want to be, if we're braking and downshifting into the corner, that's one thing. But I still want to be in each gear. I never want to push the clutch in and just let the car coast. That's something we need to absolutely avoid at all costs. Every time we go to downshift, it needs to be, a singular thing. It just needs to be boom, like it needs to not be like boom, 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 boom. It can't be like that. We can't be kind of restarting the process each time we release the clutch. It needs to be like a fell swoop. Okay, down one gear, down another gear. Downshifts should be really quick, and even if like we're not matching super perfectly, like we'll get better at the matching, but we should never not be in a gear, like ever. So every time we do a shift, upshift, downshift, we need to be immediately in a gear and we need to be immediately engaged. Just from a number of things, from a safety reason, from a handling perspective, from a competitive perspective, like we just always need to be engaged in gear. So as we come down here, it's two easy downshifts, but we really delay on them, which is what causes us some issues. Okay, down one gear, we can realistically already start going down into the next gear, but we wait and we wait, far too long. We don't need to be at the low RPM to downshift as long as we're not going to, ping the motor. But now we're engaged in what I assume would be second gear. And you restart the car there. So it really just throws for a loop the whole corner, to be fair. Okay, boom, third gear. Now at this point, we should already be engaged into second gear, I would say. And look how far away from the corner we are. So we have all the time in the world to get down into second gear, but we're just not engaging it. And that's something that's going to be crucial because we're not going to ever be able to brake late unless we're braking properly. And we're not going to ever be able to brake late if we're not using the gears properly. So we can probably break down into here way later, but we're just not using the gearbox to our benefit. And what happens is it causes us to be way slow in the entry of the corner just because we're not in a gear. We don't have the car balanced. We don't have the car, the differential working and things like that. So we need to be really mindful of all that stuff. And then as far as line goes, I mean, really, we should be braking. Once we hit our braking point, we should be kind of trail braking right in. Like I would actually prefer to be coming into this direction. Here's our apex here. So we should be kind of trail braking right into the apex if it were, and then accelerating out from there. I don't want to just kind of use different color. I don't want to kind of just sort of come to here, then coast the car around, and then throttle on from before the apex and driving out and around kind of the apex curve. I want to really be kind of braking right down into the corner. Get rid of that green arrow, braking right down into the corner and coming across this apex here and getting on power from apex out. So that's the other thing that we need to talk about in the fundamentals. So which you would for sure acknowledged is, so A, the shifting, B, we should never be on the throttle before the apex. And what I mean by that is, we don't always have to trail brake if it's not comfortable or if the car doesn't like it, whatever. It is the fastest way by a lot. So the more that we can do it, the better. But we should never be on power before the apex because, the apex really should be the minimum speed point of the corner. We should never be stopping before the corner and then driving the car through. Because if we think about it, this is an E30. So it has maybe 200 horsepower, 250 horsepower, something like that, maybe less, 180. So if we think about it, if we apply, 10% throttle to drive through the corner, that's us only applying like 20 horsepower. So if that's the case, we're not really doing anything. All that we're doing is just lifting the nose off the ground and giving our front tires less grip, right? We're not actually, challenging the car through the corner, and we're not therefore we're not challenging the car under braking or accelerating. So we're kind of leaving all three steps off the table. So in a case like this, we should be coming right down into the apex. Boom, from here, once we kind of have our trajectory coming out, back to power, use all the road on exit. We come over to the right side, very good. We set up for the left. We can be pretty aggressive in here, I would say, coming hard over the right, because again, with such a long corner, I want to be braking through the apex. So let's say this is apex 1 and apex 2 is over here. We can basically be braking through the apex, probably out to about over here, where then we kind of, we'll have a little bit of coast to get the car to rotate. And then from there, maybe we're on power, So again, we try to want to be on power later than the midpoint of the corner. So if the midpoint of the corner is here, we're on power a little bit later than that. With a double apex like this, where we're kind of diamonding the corner. And what I mean by that is we're kind of coming in, we're going like this, and then shooting out. We're diamonding the corner. When we do that, then obviously we break past the first apex because we're trying to bring our speed. We want to bring our minimum speed as deep into the corner as possible. So the deeper that we can get it in, the better off we are. Because really, if we think about it, the way that we do this long left-hander now, we kind of stop. Here. We're like stopped by this point currently, okay? And then we carry that minimum speed all the way around, and then we accelerate at this point. So it's like a whole corner that we're traveling slow. And instead, what I'd like to be doing is really kind of firing it in. The car drifts out a little bit to about the mid-track, let's say, where we're still decelerating. Finally, we hit the right minimum speed. The car starts to rotate and come around for us, and then we start getting back in the throttle. How it would look on a data graph is kind of like this. And I'm going to run us through the corner. Actually, I'll run us through the corner first. So we've already slowed down at this point. We're decelerating. Now we're just kind of keeping that 50 miles per hour or 45 miles per hour. And we just drove it around the corner. So how that looks from a data graph is like this. So if this was our speed trace, we came up for the S's. Okay, we kind of slowed down for the S's, slowed down for the second one. And then we just kind of came through the long corner and then accelerated out. And how I would like it to look, or how it needs to look to be quick, is okay, we got this, but we should be accelerating out. And then maybe we're braking into the corner. That's probably a little bit far-fetched. We're probably braking into the corner. And then we're accelerating out of the corner. So although we're going to have a lower minimum speed in here, we gain time in here by accelerating through one set of corners. We're not just coasting from one set of corners to the next set of corners. We're accelerating, braking into the corner. Let me get these weird little drawings off. Braking into the corner and then accelerating out again and gaining on exit, where, you know, instead of being kind of sleepy with our graph, we're kind of boop, boop, like we're in and out, just get it done. And that's kind of the approach, and that's kind of how we want it to be. We care very little about our minimum speeds or our mid-corner speeds. We care very little about that. We care more about how late we can break into the corner and how early we can, or how aggressive we can accelerate out of the corner. And again, you did the downshift thing here. So we're already downshifted here. Boom, pop the clutch, release it. We're in the lower gear. And also that forces us to not only kind of miss the corner, but have just sort of a sleepy coast through it. So if we're braking properly, okay, we get the car to the left side of the track. We brake. We get this car in. We get it down in here, boom. Get the car rotated, get it into the apex. From this point, boom, we're accelerating and out we go, right? So we get it into the apex. We trail brake in, get it into the apex, get the car to point. We kind of have to be looking ahead where we have, you know, we have the exit sort of picked up, and then boom, back into the gas and accelerating out hard. So we kind of just let it roll around here, and that's what I want to avoid. You know, I want to get it kind of stopped, turned, and go. So here again, a long sweeper like this, you know, our apex is over here. And so we should just be kind of like trail braking in, probably have a bit of a coast in here, and then accelerating from apex on. All right, so again, it's just, we want to have one braking event and one acceleration event. So from this apex, boom, on the gas. But I don't want to be on gas before the apex. So the next time that you're out on track, that's really I guess the lesson to train on is just tell yourself, I can't get I'm not allowed to get back to the gas before the apex. What it's going to teach you is just show you how late you can roll your speed into the corner, because you're going to feel like the car is stopped and you're still not at the apex yet. So you're not allowed to get to power yet. And it's going to be like, wow, this is going way too slow. So the next lap, you'll roll in the speed a little bit deeper. And then eventually you'll get it where your minimum speed is at the apex point. You know, and as you're getting to that apex point, you're looking down the road, you're looking at your exit, how you're going to scribe your line out to the exit. And that's when you get hard backed into the power. Okay. So instead of, right now, our throttle traces, they'll look like this. Like if this is, you know, the graph, let's say, this is 100 throttle, and this is like over time. Our throttle traces coming out of the corner is kind of looking like this. When it should realistically, okay, we're delaying out of the apex a bit more, and then boom, you know, or some variation of that, like even like this, like where we're just getting back to full throttle. Even though we're on gas later, we're back to full throttle sooner, and that's where the time gain is. Here, very easy corner to teach ourselves on. Apex, on throttle from apex, not before. Especially coming downhill like this. The last thing we want to do is raise the nose too early. So brake right into the apex, get the car to rotate. From here, on power. And then here, I mean, don't stop the car on the hill and then drive it over the hill. You know, we want to carry our speed deep into here. So we realistically want to be kind of braking. This is our apex here. So we're braking way up into it. But we want to be we want to carry the speed of the car all the way up to the crest of this hill. The hill crests right here. So that's kind of where we want our speed getting to. We want to drive the car up the hill. We don't want to stop the car too soon. And then see, now we're accelerating up over the peak of the crest. We want to bomb the car up and get it up on top of this plateau. And then same thing here as kind of the previous long corner. I kind of want to drive it in a bit more, you know, drive it in a bit more, and then we have it kind of come back. So it's kind of like a double apex. Obviously, I don't want to go too far past mid-track, but still, I want to carry the speed in. Okay, so drive it in. We're kind of braking over to here. And then from there, you know, we're maybe there's coast in here as the car comes around for us. And then we accelerate out from there. Okay, but I want to try to get our speed in there so that when we do go to accelerate, we're flat and we're kind of on the limit of what we can do coming out. Okay, that's going to give us the best exit. So we kind of drive it past here, out to this curb, and then we're kind of, you know, so we're late acceleration. But just to run through here again, so drive it up over this hill, hard over the hill. We'd probably use all the road. You know, we never really get to this apex curb, which is one thing that obviously looks out to me. You know, we should be really carrying so much speed up over the hill that we're using all the road here, because then once we're on this curb here and okay, the car starts to cycle back, we're getting into the power kind of now is when we're getting into the power, using all the road and then kind of pointed down the road to get that nice exit onto the straight. So we just need to attack in there quite a bit more. We need to have a real hurry up coming up over that hill where we should be attacking the right-hander, not stopping for it. Attacking the right-hander, which is forcing us to use all the road into the left, but the left is kind of a Mickey Mouse corner. So no matter how much we set up for it, it's never going to really behoove us. It's never going to benefit us that much. So the time gain is through the uphill at the right-hander, and we need to really attack that one, use all the road, get up onto the exit or the apex curb in the left-hander. And then from there, you know, the car is going to wash out or, you know, going to wash out to the exit curb. And then from there, we're, you know, flying. Obviously, we're accelerating before the exit curb. We're, you know, still trying to treat it somewhat like a normal corner, but the time gain realistically is right in here. This stopping before the top of the hill, it will eat up the time for sure, especially in a low powered car. All right, my friend. So, but that's really it. That's really the fundamentals to work on. And honestly, once we get those, it is a little bit gravy from there. You'll be amazed at how the time drops off. It also really helps us for being safer in the car because, you know, we're much more in control with, we're much more able to see where the car is going to go and much more able to predict what the car is doing. But also it helps us really learn other circuits and be quick at other circuits because we're using those fundamentals straight away. Okay, so let's work on those downshifts. I never want to not be in gear or engaged in gear. Okay, and I want to get those downshifts done. Boom, boom. I don't want to wait and just delay on them, make it harder on us. And 2, no throttle before the apex. Number 1 rule. All right, my friend. So thank you very much. Let us know if you have any questions. This is good with the data and everything. This is really good. So it helps us out. But yeah, let us know if you have any questions, and great job, man. All right. Like we'll be into the 36s in no time. That I'm not too worried about. It's about, I'd be worried if I was them. All right, my friend, all the best. We'll speak soon.